Hey there everybody, Aaron here. Welcome to another episode of Gideon's Tactical. I have here with us today in the Blade Boot Camp the long-awaited review for us on the Druid 230 from Steel Will. Steel Will is a new company in the market. They came onto the blade scene in 2015 and at production they contacted me. They've been watching Gideon's Tactical for a while. They really like how we do field testing. You know, we just don't do tabletops here at the channel, but the heavy-duty field testing that we do. So they wanted to send me a few products to do a full review and test on and kind of see how they hold up. So this Druid 230 is kind of their biggest in the line right now in 2015, early 2015. It's kind of designed as a machete chopping instrument and can do some, splitting. So that type of stuff, that's what they say on their website. It's kind of a machete and an axe style, so it can handle some of those tasks that a machete and an axe could do. So that's what we're gonna put it through here today. I've really had a chance, guys, to take this out on several treks, really use and abuse this knife, and you're gonna see a lot of field testing in this video because it's a new company and it's a new product. So we really wanna hammer on this, and I wanna be honest with you guys and show you the pros and cons of this knife, just like we always do over here at Gideon's Tactical. So with that being said, let's get out there, start using this Druid 230 and see how it performs. All right, guys, let's look at some of the specs here on this blade. The first thing is the steel. This is 9CR18 MOV ball bearing steel out of China. So this is a Chinese-made knife, and I've had a chance to really, as you can see on the blade, and as you're gonna see throughout this video, really thrash on this. I'm really wanting to thrash on these new Steel Will knives because they are new to the market, and I don't want to point you in the direction of a blade that's not gonna hold up to some abuse. And this ball bearing steel has been holding up very well. I've been very impressed and pleased with it. I've gone through some batoning pieces of wood, and the steel has bent slightly and then sprung right back into place after I get through, the knot and stuff. So it's very durable, very tough, and got a good edge retention as well. I'd basically, look at the edge retention, something around AUS 8, and then the toughness around probably 1095, so it's kind of like this duality of a stainless steel that's pretty tough, which is pretty cool. So what you have here with the blade itself is a 9-inch blade. I'll bust out the tape measure here for us. So 9 inches from the handle to the tip of the blade, and then an overall length of 14¼ inches of overall length there for you. And it has a high saber grind is what it has. Very classic drop point design. I love that design on that blade. It is 0.2 inches thick, so nice and stout all the way through, no swedge or anything. I just love that. The overall blade design is fantastic. I really like it a lot. And then you have a TPE handle, which is something like Kraton, full tank construction all the way through, pommel out the back, lanyard hole, and it weighs in at 11½ ounces. So this is definitely a lightweight chopper, machete style blade for sure. So we'll see how it performs today in its chopping tasks in particular. So those are the basic specs for you guys. Let's go ahead and get out there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and give you the sheath rating here on this Druid 230. I'm gonna give it a very solid 4 out of 5. The only thing that would make it a 5 out of 5 really would be Kydex, but for a large, knife, and with this type of quality of sheath is very impressive. It's very hard to find this top quality of sheath, in particularly this price point and with most knives on the market today. This is a leather sheath, got really good solid stitching all the way around. Very nice. You got the Steel Will logo right there. You got two little bolsters in there that are holding it into place, little rivets holding the leather together. Real nice and thick leather all the way through. You have a drainage hole out the back here. You got a toggle that you can run paracord through and lash it to your leg. And then if you don't want to, obviously, you can do that. And then you got a dangle feature here with a nice large loop that you could run your belt through, and so that it's going to ride below your belt and not be digging into your body, and it is friction held. So it's very solid and very silent. Nothing, no rattle, not crawling out, not going to fall out. Very secure sheath. and then you just pull out, use your blade, put it back into place. So I've been very happy, very impressed overall with this sheath, and I'm gonna give it a very solid, again, 4 out of 5 for the sheath on this Druid 230. Well guys, I gotta give you the quality rating here on this knife, and the quality I'm really surprised with and I really like it. The fit and finish, the sheath is really good, very durable. It's holding up very well to all the abuse that I put it through. The edge is holding up very well. You know, the grind angle was perfect. The TP handles are holding up very, very well. Very, very just tough, durable, and great fit and finish. The quality is a 5 out of 5, guys. For what is being produced right out of the gate from steel will, I've been very pleased. Attention to detail, even like the little leg tassel for a paracord run and the drainage hole. You know, a lot of companies don't think that way, and really putting thought into the sheath is great. You know, again, a lot of companies, they make a great knife and then they just throw a crappy nylon sheath on there and like, sure, you figure it out. But the steel will is not doing that with this Druid line, and particularly with this Druid 230. They've just really put a lot of thought into the quality of the products that they're producing right out of the gate. So I really like that a lot. 5 out of 5 on the quality with this Druid 230. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk value here on this Druid 230. Now, last I checked, they had a sale going for a little while on their website. And again, I'll have a link in the description below to the Druid, or excuse me, to the Steel Will website, so you can go ahead and check that out. I think this was running for right around like $140 if I remember. I'll have it connotated in right now as I'm talking to make sure. But right around $140, that's MSRP, okay? So MSRP is never, you know, a very good plumb line. MSRPs are always a lot more expensive than, you know, it is when you actually get it out there into the market. So for that price, I mean, there's just a lot of, I mean, that's almost pushing the Essie Hungalis, and I'll take an Essie Hungalis over this at that price any day. But if once this gets picked up and this line gets picked up by like Amazon and Blade HQ and Knife Center and some of those other places, which I believe are going to happen pretty soon, and you should probably be looking at a price point right around maybe the $70 mark. And for that, for the sheath you're getting, for the fit and finish and the quality level, and for this really tough, I'm really surprised, it is Chinese steel, but it's very tough, and they've done a great heat treat, and I've been very pleased so far with all the performance. I think right around the $70 mark would be a good value. So I'm not going to give you a value rating right now because of only the MSRP, and I don't give value ratings out just based off of MSRP, because then, you know, that'd be ridiculous. So anyway, just kind of think through that. That's probably what you should be looking at. Hopefully once they get picked up from a couple of the other sites, you know, you start seeing this. This is probably right around the $70 mark is what I would pay for this. Much higher than that, and then I'd really start to kind of consider there might be better stuff out there at that price point in this size range. So that's the value kind of concept, and no value rating, but to kind of help you, point you in the right direction when you're thinking about laying down the money for this Druid 230. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look here at the ergonomics, and I got to give you the ergonomic rating on this Druid 230. And the ergonomic rating I'm going to have to give it is going to be a 3 out of 5, and I'm going to have to walk you through that and kind of explain that to you. Now, the handle itself is TPE, so it's kind of like a craton material, so it's going to be nice and warm to the touch. You got really good, you know, cross marks, which are going to give you pretty good traction. That's a medium traction for you here on this handle. Now, I wear large size gloves. You can see there I got plenty of room to spare, so it's a nice large handle. It is a full tank construction all the way through with that exposed pommel out the back, and then you got that nice lanyard hole. So when it comes to just holding the knife itself, it's very ergonomic, feels very comfortable for cutting tasks. You know, if you're doing feather stick making, going through rope, that type of stuff, it's going to feel really good. You know, there's no hot spots or, you know, uncomfortability with weird angles or anything like that. So on a purely cutting, you know, level of just cutting materials around your campsite, it feels very ergonomic, and you can even do it, you know, in reverse cuts and really hold the knife in a lot of different directions. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, well then why are you giving it a 3 out of 5? The reason is the philosophy of why you'd be purchasing this knife. Now, this knife is a very large 9-inch blade, so it has the idea of being a machete chopper, you know, doing those type of tasks. And the reason why I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 is that the handle does not have much of a flare out at all. And the knife, after about 3 or 4 swings, wants to definitely go flying out of your hand. And that's really the idea behind this knife, is that it is a chopper. You're going to be chopping either greenery or harder woods, and you're, you know, using it in that kind of chopping machete style. That's why you'd be purchasing a 9-inch knife. And to give you an example, let me run in a couple other knives that have a much better ergonomic rating when you're thinking of a large chopping instrument. Okay, so I'm going to run in 3 other knives here from 3 different makers, just to kind of give you an idea. And all of these are either machete slash, you know, wilderness choppers. Here's the previously reviewed SP5. You can see there that the handle is going to have a much better hook and keep your hand on the handle a lot longer than, say, this very gradual sweep with barely no hook at all on the Druid. So this is going to stay in your hand a lot longer, and it's got that same type of, you know, Craton or TPE in the sense of this knife, the Druid, you know, handle. So it's going to feel very warm to the touch as well. But that SP5 is going to stay in your hand a lot longer. BK9, again, very similar. It's going to have this huge hook, the Becker hook that we all know very well. That's going to keep your hand, you know, nice and secure on the knife for a lot longer before you're going to have to reset. Then the knife is not going to want to go flying out of your hand. And then finally, this very large machete chopper is the SE Hungalis. And you can see their huge hook back there, so it's going to stay in your hand real nice and comfy if you're doing lots of swinging tasks, and you're not going to have to reset. Whereas, again, with the Druid 230, because there's no hook, it wants to fly out of your hand pretty quick. So you're constantly resetting the knife and having to regrip, and it fatigues your hand. It just doesn't allow you just to go swinging through the jungle, basically, or swinging, you know, through a hard, you know, branch, you know, without having to constantly be resetting the knife. So that's why I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 on the ergonomic rating. All right, guys, I want to talk to you a little bit here about the performance. Now you've kind of seen it in action as we've been kind of breaking up and going through this video. And now I got to just talk to you about how this knife really performs. So the first thing I want to talk about is carving. Carving, this thing is going to do great. It's very lightweight, very well balanced, and you're going to be able to handle that with the way that they've grinded in the edge as well as the high saber grind. Just really makes it a very good carver, and at under 12 ounces, I mean, you know, just very lightweight, very easy to wield. The handle ergonomics are going to really help with that, so you can do different types of grips, chest grips, and, you know, hammer grip, and all sorts of different types of tasks with this Druid when it does come to those feather stick making and notches. And so you're going to be able to really do a lot of stuff with this knife that you maybe couldn't with bigger, heavier knives, just because of how lightweight it is and easy to wield.
Steel Willies will appreciate that.
Awesome. Batoning was the next portion, you know, that I really wanted to see how this would do, because it's got a really nice stout 0.2 inches thick, you know, blade, and they say that on their website, you know, this is designed to do machete and batoning and kind of axe work, and I've never really used 9CR 18 MOV steel in that capacity, and I was actually very surprised and very pleased with this. This is actually performing to me kind of like a stainless spring steel, and I know that's kind of like, what are you talking about? Because with a lot of the batoning that I did, it did great. It's got 9 inches, so it's going to span really well. The saber grind, everything, it didn't bind up or anything. So it's going to do great batoning tasks like a lot of the other large wilderness blades that we know out there on the market. And what I noticed is a couple times, you know, I'd hit a knot or something, and like 5160 or 1095, the blade bent slightly around a knot and a curve in the wood, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just broke this knife. This knife is gonna get broken, but I was like, okay, let's see how this does. And I hammered through it and just sprung right back into place. It's very nice and straight, and that happened a couple times. So it's very durable, and whatever heat treat they're doing over there with this knife, it's performing very well in that capacity. So it's very flexible and very tough, and it's also holding a great edge. You know, stainless steel has a tendency to chip under hard abuse when you are chopping and doing batoning, but I haven't seen any chipping or rolling at all. This is holding a very good edge. They did a great heat treat and a good, you know, Rockwell, whatever type of steel, you know, or not the type of steel, but whatever the heat treat and, you know, Rockwell they're using with this Druid 230 steel is really holding up well and holding a good edge, and is very tough and durable, and you're not going to see a lot of chipping and breakage on this knife. Okay, so far so good. Now this is the part where the knife really falls short, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail at the end as well, but is chopping. This is supposed to be a chopper, you know, do machete work for you, clear branches, you know, all that type of stuff, and it's just not there for me, guys. The main reason for that is the weight. At 11.5 ounces, there is no weight on this knife to connect well, particularly with any sort of dense material wood. You know, it's not going to bite in very well. You're going to get exhausted very quickly because you're going to have to put all of your energy into the blade. Doesn't work for you. You have to work. You have to do all the work because the blade is so lightweight, which is great for carving and whittling tasks, but is not good for chopping. So you fatigue your hand real quick, and the handle sends vibrations. Just the way it's designed sends a lot of vibrations and shock into my hand. And with the hook, as we talked about with the ergonomics, it just didn't really hold up to me not having to constantly reset. So I'm constantly exhausting myself when I'm chopping with this knife. And really the only good thing that this is going to be able to chop against is really thin, lightweight greenery, you know, like vines and that type of stuff is really the only thing that this is going to be good at when it does come to chopping tasks, sadly, when it is designed to be a chopping knife. All right, guys, we got to go ahead and wrap up this review for you on this knife. You know, you've seen it in action. We've talked it through, and I got to give you my final rating, my likability rating. Do I like this knife? And I really wish I didn't have to do this. You know, there's a lot of things going for this knife and for this company and for this design. But when it comes to the philosophy of being a large wilderness chopper, machete style blade, I'm going to have to give this a likability of 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5, very low. And sadly, the real reason for that is it's just so lightweight. It's so lightweight, you have to do all the work. This knife doesn't do any of the work for you. And the handle construction that we kind of talked about, where it just, I'm constantly resetting my hand and my hand's getting tired with some of the shock through it. So basically, this knife is designed to be basically a smaller knife. Now they make different sizes in this Druid line, and we're gonna be reviewing some of those. I think those are gonna perform a lot better. I think I'm gonna like those a lot better because of the way that they're balanced and how this knife is set up. It just should be a shorter, smaller blade. They should have gone with a different design, in my opinion, for a larger chopping knife. If this had, you know, maybe 8 more ounces on it and a different designed handle, I think this would be a lot better setup and a lot better blade. But as it stands right now, guys, there's just other knives on the market. The SP5, the BK9, the SE Hungerless, the RTAC 2. I mean, the list goes on and on of knives that are going to be able to do just more for you than this Druid 230 will, sadly. So, likability, 2 out of 5. Stay tuned for other reviews of steel will. If you like this setup, again, I got 2 other different size Druids that I think are going to perform a lot better than this one did, just because of how lightweight it is. If you're Tom Cruise and this is The Last Samurai, maybe it's a great blade for you, but for actual practical wilderness use, it's just not there for me, guys. So thank you, as always, for checking out this channel. It's because of you guys that I come out here and do these reviews for you. Thank you so much. Please comment, subscribe, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this knife and a lot of the other steel will blades that we have already reviewed and are going to be continuing to review. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, all the relevant social media. And as always, remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. We'll see you out there.